Mike Enslin is a rather sarcastic author visiting haunted places and writing about his experiences. For certain, he doesn't believe in ghosts, and his skepticism makes him view any preternatural story as a fraud. In one of his visits, he spends the night in a motel where the spirit of a hanged maid is said to appear every night. He stays in the maid's room, but proving his point, nothing happens. In the morning, Mike checks out and rewards the motel with a poor rating of 5 skulls on his scary scale. At his latest book presentation, 10 Haunted Hotels, Mike reveals that he always goes well prepared in those supposedly scary places. A little while later, Mike has an accident when a wave knocks him off his surfboard and sends him ashore. He soon regains consciousness, and regardless of the near-death experience, he goes on about his business. Later on, Mike picks up his mail at the post office and finds a postcard from Dolphin Hotel in New York saying, "Don't enter, 1408. Curious, Mike does a little research and discovers a series of unexplained deaths that have occurred in that room. Mike is now intrigued to visit that hotel and calls to book the room. At first, he is declined, but with the help of his publisher, Sam, Mike eventually manages to get what he wants. Sam, however, worries about Mike coming to New York because of an undisclosed incident in the past, but Mike assures him that nothing is going to happen. Mike arrives at the Dolphin Hotel and asks for the key to 1408, but Gerald Olin, the manager of the hotel, struggles to talk him out of it. He even offers him to stay in one of the finest suites, but Mike is relentless. Further discussing the matter in his office, Gerald informs Mike that in the last 95 years, whomever stayed in that room didn't last more than an hour, with 56 people tragically losing their lives. 1408 is not a room he wants anyone to be in, and gives Mike a file containing photographs and police statements of the residents who died there. Yet Mike keeps asking for the key to the room and says that ghosts aren't real. In the end, Gerald hands Mike the key, telling him that the room itself is what's causing all these deaths. On their way to the hidden 13th floor, Mike learns that the room is cleaned once every month, with Gerald and a group of 4 maids. During one of these cleanings, a maid was locked in the bathroom, and when she got out, laughing hysterically, she gouged out her eyes with a pair of scissors. Mike isn't impressed hearing this, and once the elevator reaches the 13th floor, Gerald makes one last effort to persuade Mike to abandon this foolish venture. Mike ignores him and moves down the hallway. Browsing through the victims' photos, Mike reaches 1408. He turns the key in the keyhole and an ominous darkness greets him. Turning on the lights and having a look in the interior, Mike feels disappointed by its common look. Mike explores a little and records his observations. Suddenly, as Mike is looking out the window, he is startled by the radio. He turns around and sees 2 chocolate candies lying on a pillow. Mike thinks that someone is in the room playing tricks on him. He searches around for a while, but finds nothing. Meanwhile, the thermostat seems to be malfunctioning, and Mike is getting a little hot. He asks from reception to have it fixed. Using a blacklight bulb, Mike has a more detailed look at the room. When he turns the lights back on, however, he notices one of the paintings is tilted. The maintenance guy arrives, but he refuses to come inside the room because he is scared. He talks Mike through restoring the thermostat and promptly leaves. Mike finds that odd and lies in bed when suddenly the radio turns on again and sets a 1-hour timer. Mike recalls that no one has lasted more than an hour in this room and finds it really effective, still believing that the room is not haunted. After that, Mike experiences a weird buzzing sound in his ear, and as he goes to the window, his hand is slammed by the sash. He goes to wash it, but high-pressure water from the faucet injures him further. The radio turns on again and the phone rings. Mike talks to the receptionist and asks for medical assistance, but the lady on the phone isn't very cooperative. Mike now feels that he is way out of his depth and decides to leave. He tries to get the door open, but fails. Turning to the window again, Mike shouts for help. He sees a man on the opposite building, but realizes that he is a doppelganger of himself, who is attacked and killed by a man with a hammer. Turning around, Mike sees the same lunatic attacking him as well, and falls down trying to protect himself. But the hostile person has vanished somehow, and Mike thinks that he is losing his mind. The TV is turned on, and Mike sees footage of his family, his wife Lily and their daughter Katie. Mike looks sad and touches the screen. Abruptly, the TV turns off, and Mike sees apparitions of the previous guests walking towards the window. Mike hears the baby from next door crying loudly and throws a chair at the wall. A voice draws him to the bathroom, where he sees his father in a wheelchair. He goes to him and hears him saying, "As you are, I was. As I am, you will be," and smiles. The wall is bleeding, and Mike attempts to reach the adjoining room by walking on the narrow ledge outside. He measures the distance from inside, but the ledge proves to lead nowhere. Mike is terrified and gets back inside the room, almost falling down in the process by the sudden apparition of a woman who jumps to her death. Mike begins to experience more hallucinations, seeing his daughter sick in a clinic. He opens his laptop and contacts his estranged wife Lily via cam chat, asking for her help. Lily learns of his location, but before anything else can be said, the signal is lost. Quickly after that, the fire sprinkler is triggered and water sprays the room. Mike breaks the metal frame and enters the air vent through the ceiling. Inside, he discovers a dead and decomposed body, which is brought back to life. Mike crawls away and narrowly escapes it, ending back in 1408. Mike, having enough of this, goes to the freezer to have a drink. Inside, he sees Gerald, who accuses him of breaking people's hopes by saying that ghosts aren't real. Mike lashes out at the freezer and goes to the bedroom area. As a last resort, he opens the Bible, but all of the pages are blank. Mike sees another vision of his wife and daughter. Mike is very upset as he is forced to relive the pain of the time when his daughter died from an unnamed illness. As the thermostat has broken again, the room feels now like the inside of an igloo. Mike is freezing and lights up a fire. He hears Lily on the laptop and goes to her. He tells her to send someone to get him out, when he sees another doppelganger of himself, urging Lily to come up to the room. A violent tremor then shakes the room, which is quickly filled with water from one of the paintings. Mike goes underwater and ends up on a beach where he had the surfboard accident earlier in the film. He passes out and wakes up in a hospital in Los Angeles, where Lily is there with him. Mike is confused as to how he got there, but eventually he is convinced that he was inside a very vivid dream. Later that day, he enjoys a dinner with Lily and tells her about Katie. Lily tells him to write about this dream of his, and Mike asks her to stay with him, but Lily declines. The next day, Mike picks up his mail at the post office and searches unsuccessfully for the postcard from New York about room 1408. Mike notices then that the notorious room in the Dolphin Hotel never actually existed. Nonetheless, this bone-chilling experience renewed his spirit, and, grabbing this unique opportunity, he is inspired to write a book about it. The next day he visits his father at the elderly care unit, and afterwards goes to the post office to send a letter. But Mike sees employees from the Dolphin Hotel standing there, who all of a sudden start tearing down the walls, revealing room 1408 behind. Mike is desperate now, finding himself back in this appalling nightmare. He screams that he was out, and sees his dead daughter Katie standing in front of him. Mike holds her and says that everything is going to be alright. But Katie dies a second time, and as the radio turns on, she turns into ash in Mike's arms. Mike loses it and starts smashing the place. When the countdown ends, the timer is reset, and Mike sees he is back where he started, this entire thing being a very powerful hallucination. The phone rings, and Mike hears a woman's voice representing the room. Mike asks why he is still alive, at which the voice replies that all guests enjoy free will. Mike can choose to end his own life, or relive the past hour over and over again. Mike selects then to check out, but not in the way the room wants. He sets the place on fire and laughs hysterically as he lies down and dies. After the funeral, Gerald presents Lily with some of Mike's personal belongings and tells her that Mike didn't die in vain. Sam sends him away, and Gerald listens to Mike's recordings. At some point, he hears Katie's voice from beyond the grave and gets scared by a charred person sitting in the back seat. In the last scene, Mike's ghost is seen inside the burned room 1408 before he is called by his daughter and vanishes into thin air.